Hey, what's up guys? It's Cypher, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Dark Brotherhood PTS patch notes that were just released today, April 25th. And this is the first time I'm reading these patch notes. We do have a little bit of information and some sneak peeks here and there before the patch notes were released, but I'm going to go over this entire thing. Obviously, I'll be skipping over some segments that are not as interesting or don't affect my gameplay, and we'll be focusing mainly on the PvP and combat balance changes. So let's get started. Dark Brotherhood patch, and right now I have the PTS downloading as we speak, so that should be we'll be testing that all week on Twitch, and we'll be testing builds and things like that. Let's get started. All right, so we got the Dark Brotherhood, new world bosses and delves. There's going to be a skill line. I assume the skill line is going to work similarly to the Thieves Guild skill line, as in it will only help you during the Thieves Guild or Dark Brotherhood, and it won't extend past that through to PvE related things or PvP. And that's kind of the way I hope they handle it, and I'm sure that's how they're handling it. There's changes to the Imperial City. We know that there's going to be district capture. Now I don't know how this is going to affect IC and any of the PvP environment in the Imperial City, but I think it'll be interesting, and hopefully they implemented it well, because I know IC was a pretty big, blunder as far as PvP updates go. I saw it more as a PvE update that had PvP in it, and hopefully this will bring just a little more PvP into the Imperial City, and hopefully more people start visiting the IC for whatever reasons. Room boxes, I don't know what that is. New motifs, Dark Brotherhood loyalty reward, item sets, new mementos, new titles. Veteran rank removal. Now, I made a video about this a while back about what this means, and pretty much everything that I said in that video still stands. It's a bit complicated to explain quickly, but I'll try to give you a quick summary. They're changing the veteran rank system, and it's going to be purely based off of champion points. But that doesn't mean that if you have like 200 champion points and someone has 500, they're going to be able to wear better gear. The gear is being transferred. So if you have a V16 gear, that's going to be 160 CP. And if you have V1 gear, that's going to be 10 CP. So if you have at least 160 champion points, you're still considered V16. Now, if you are under V16 and you have 160 champion points, now you're considered a V16. And if you are V16 but you have under 160 champion points, they're not going to remove your veteran ranks. They're going to give you enough CP to cover the cost, and you will be considered V16 at that point. So everyone wins with this change. I think it was a good change. It's definitely something that is going to be, it's going to make life easier, especially for people who play multiple characters, different alts, creating new characters, and in my opinion, there's not many negatives that come from this. Poison making. Now, I went to PAX and I heard a lot of good things about poison making. Still not sure exactly how the mechanics work, but I know you'll be able to equip poisons that will proc from your weapon attacks, similar to how weapon enchants work. And apparently they balanced weapon enchants and buffed it to make it competitive with poison making, so you have to make that decision. But we'll see how that looks. Group tool improvements, item trait improvements. I know, for example, like exploration was a trait that they changed, so now it gives you CP instead of just regular XP. So if you're wearing exploration things and you're farming champion points, it's going to boost the rate at which you gain CP, which will help people catch up with the champion tree cap a little faster if they want to. Improved Cyrodiil vendors, that's a good thing, hopefully. Updates to Sanctum Ophidia. I'm pretty sure that means they updated the gear to V16 or 160 CP. We got to start using that lingo instead of V16. Crafting bags. This is going to help crafters. You can be pretty much, it's like a loyalty reward thing where you get a bag that you can put your crafting materials in, and it's a pretty open-ended bag. Pretty much you can put a lot of things in it, and it's just to relieve bank space and inventory space. Item locking, so that you don't deconstruct precious items on accident. New collectible functionality and changes. New die, additional character slots, 8 to 12 I believe. Nameplates, character and user ID display, character sheet on gamepad mode. Enchanting improvements. Harvest nodes, armor improvements, combat animation prioritization. This is a scary 3 words to read for me, but they did say at PAX that it's not gonna affect the like what we have right now. It's just going to make things look a little smoother. It's not going to be like what we had in the last PTS, but this is just in PTS, and they want to test things to see how it looks. But we will see. We'll see how that looks on the actual game. We'll be logging in hopefully soon. I believe my PTS should be downloading sooner or later once they put that up. Pickpocketing improvements. Okay. All right, let's go through this. The Dark Brotherhood patch. Now, I'm going to skip over the Dark Brotherhood DLC because here's the thing. Like, I mean, I don't typically play PvE stuff. I didn't play the Thieves Guild. So I'm doing this review to cover the PvP changes and the combat balance and things like that, and the poison making. I'm not going to be really doing this to cover the Dark Brotherhood stuff. Now, I'm sure a lot of effort and time went into Dark Brotherhood, just not my type of playstyle. It's not the aspects of the game that I enjoy. So if you do want to go back and, you know, reread the Dark Brotherhood changes and the patch notes, I'll have the link in the description for you guys. But I'm going to be skipping over this and going to the things that directly affect me. So I won't be talking about world bosses and delves and things like that, but more focus on the items and the ability changes and things like that. So I want to look over this real quick, the passive skill line. I just want to see if there's anything that could potentially affect PvP or PvE outside of Dark Brotherhood. Okay, no, so it's all Dark Brotherhood related stuff. It's all Dark Brotherhood related stuff. Changes to Imperial City. We've introduced a number of changes and improvements to Imperial City in this update. Districts can now be captured via mechanics similar to resources in Cyrodiil. There are 6 districts in Imperial City. A single flag is located on each district and is guarded by a few Alliance guards. Ownership of a district confers a 33% Telvar Stone bonus to all Telvar Stone gains in the districts. Cool. Ownership of a district also controls whether you can respawn in that district via PvE or PvP death. If your alliance does not control any districts and you die in districts, you will respawn in the sewers. Okay. So, now, one thing that I think, like, okay, this will encourage people to, like, just cap, like, you know, when there's bonuses like this, people will just, like, alliances will control one, they will control one, what's it called, you know, campaign. Like, AD will pick one Imperial City to dominate DC and EP. The PvE players will go that route. That way they can have guaranteed stuff. And that's what this kind of encourages, and it's happened in the past. One way to fix this, but I don't know how they would go about doing this, is making Imperial City one instance. So if you enter the Imperial City from True Flame, Hadris, it doesn't matter where you're entering it from, it's all in one instance. So all the campaigns have one Imperial City. Because Imperial City is a pretty big area, and with the arena district capture and the sewers, it's a pretty big landscape. And I don't think it would be too full if everyone went to the same Imperial City. It would actually bring more people into one place, and it would make this a little more effective. You wouldn't have certain alliances dominating IC on different campaigns. So hopefully they think about something like that. I do know right here the single flag. They should probably put 2 or 3 flags, and you have to capture all 3 to flip the district. At least 2 flags, because putting a single flag also encourages stacking on the flag. Groups typically, they won't spread out, right? The Xur groups typically want to stay together at all times. They don't have the coordination. Most of them do not have the coordination to spread out. So if you put 2 or 3 flags on different areas of the district, it forces them to spread out. Or it forces them to stick the way they are, and they won't be as effective because smaller groups can spread out, flip the flags while the Zerg is running around trying to stop them. So putting 2 or 3 flags instead of 1 will be a lot more effective and will give us dynamic gameplay, in my opinion. You will now lose 50% of your Telvar stones for both PvE or PvP death. Both. Okay, previously you would lose 10% of your stones and 8% for PvP death. I don't know how to feel about that, to be quite honest with you. But because I see how they try to accommodate it by making it to where you don't lose 10% for a PvE death. So it encourages you not to suicide. But 50%... I guess to me, if it means more people are willing to go to Imperial City, and actually play on the Imperial City because they won't lose as much, that's fine. I understand that a majority of gamers in general nowadays, as much as I like sandbox, full loop PvP systems, like I played RuneScape and that was like really hardcore when it came to just full loop PvP systems. You lose everything on death and things like that. I know that's not a very popular thing, It used to be popular back in the day, but it's not popular anymore. People don't like losing their shit. So if this encourages more people to join Imperial City, I'm all for that. Rebalance the monster sets in Imperial City to make moving around the city easier for the solo player. Bosses remain targeted at 2-player characters. Cool. Patrolling horrors and Livkin Elite are best handled by 4 or more, but their attacks are now less likely to kill you in one hit. Okay, I like that. It encourages solo gameplay. People in the chat seem to be going ahead and reading way ahead on the patch notes, and they're like just spilling information right now, and I'm just trying to ignore it and trying to get to it for the first time here. But let's keep going. We adjust the difficulty in both normal and veteran versions, which will result in overall reduction in difficulty for both versions. Okay, cool. Ruined boxes. You can now purchase ruined boxes from the Telvar General Merchants Imperial City in exchange for a substantial number of Telvar stones. Ruined boxes are special containers. Each one has a specific collectible inside. The 3 introduced in this update have the significant polymorphs that were previously only obtainable through rare jobs in other Telvar purchase containers. Unlike the collectibles themselves or most other containers, ruined boxes can be traded, mailed, or sold on guild stores. Opening a ruined box will bind it to your account. However, you can only open a ruined box if you do not already. So this is like gambling, I assume. You have a chance at opening the ruined box. I assume this is like gambling. That's what I assume it's like. There's a chance at getting the item you need or the item you want. New motifs. I always like new motifs, but I'm not going to really look over them right now. I like different styles and things like that. Look a little more unique in PvP. Dark Brotherhood loyalty reward personality. The first collectible personality, the Assassin, is available by purchasing the Dark Brotherhood DLC game packages in the Gold Coast. Using this will allow you to take on a new attitude by changing the way you stand, move, or even emote. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I hope they put more of these in the game. Like more personalities in the game. Item sets. Now, the thing about patch notes is they never actually say what the item sets do. We actually have to log into the game, and hopefully they're available on the PTS. 3 new item sets. This is Dark Brotherhood stuff. I assume it's only going to affect Dark Brotherhood related activities. 3 new crafted sets. Cool. 4 new PvP based item sets from the Telvar Stones. Oh, from the Telvar Stone vendors in Imperial City. Okay. That's cool. You know what? I'm glad they did this because I did mention that they should. Well, I know it's not like they listen to me exactly, but people have mentioned that they should put more sets into IC specific things so Telvar Stones are worth more and people go back to Imperial City. And this sounds great right here. This sounds great right here. New mementos. Swear a blood oath or perform the rituals of the Black Sacrament itself with the new mementos that can be allowed. Okay. New titles. Cool. Veteran rank removal. Okay, I'm going to read this over because I know some people are going to have a lot of questions. Veteran ranks have been completely removed from the game in this update. Your strength after level 50 is now simply your number of champion points. As champion points are gained much faster than veteran ranks, this will allow you to advance more rapidly and start getting the best gear in the game faster. You will keep all your hard-earned attribute and skill points you received from gaining veteran ranks, and new players will instead earn them while leveling up to level 50. You will receive 2 points every level that ends in a 5. You will receive 3 points every level that ends in a 10. You will continue to get 1 point for levels 2 to 49. Keep your hard-earned attribute points. Okay, so that's how you get the attribute points now. So you end up getting all the attribute points by the time you get to level 49. That makes sense. You'll receive 10 champion points as soon as you hit level 50 if your account does not have any champion points already. Okay, cool. We'll be awarding a one-time bonus of 2.5 champion points per veteran rank gained on your highest level character when you first log in when Dark Brotherhood is released. This is going to apply to everyone. Each veteran rank will grant 2.5 champion points up to a maximum of 40 points at VR16. Reaching level 50 with a second character means you can immediately equip your gear or up to your account's champion point value, since champion points are shared across all characters on an account. That's great. That's gonna make my Templar pretty much V16. He'll be able to wear V16 gear that I have on my other stamina builds, because he's V2 currently, but he has 500 champion points or higher. Old veteran rank items and monsters will now display champion points. For items, this describes the number of champion points required to equip them. For monsters, the number of champion points describes the monster's strength. Every veteran rank is equivalent to 10 champion points. For example, a monster used to be VR2 will now be champion point 120. Pretty simple. Monsters will now scale up faster in difficulty through the veteran zones. Experience gain rules will continue to function as they did for veteran ranks. Mobs 40 champion points below your level will grant 75% of their normal XP. Mobs 50 or more will grant 30% normal XP. Okay. Abilities no longer increase their cost by 1% per veteran rank, but will now increase at their normal rate for every 10 champion points up to a cap of 160. Most abilities will cost about the same, but cost reduction abilities should return more predictable results. Cool. Core mechanics. Sprint, dodge, block, and CC break will now be slightly more expensive. Slightly. I don't know what that means, but slightly. The chat is losing their minds right now. Silver and gold zones have been re-leveled to account for the increased speed at which you can champion points. The champion point cap will remain at 5. Oh, it will remain at 501 for this update. Okay, so it's not going to 552. I know some people are going to be like, oh, that sucks. I know some people have a lot of champion points. For example, I have 552 right now. They want to be able to use more champion points. I personally think the lower the champion point cap is, the better the game is. That's just my opinion. You might not share that opinion, but that's my opinion. The lower the number is, the better the game is. The character select screen now indicates how many champion points your account has. Item tooltips have been updated to support the removal of veteran ranks. Level requirements for items previously... Okay. Okay, so it's a lot of changes. Poison making. You can now use the alchemy system to create a wide array of dangerous poisons using new and existing reagents mixed together in a new type of solvents. Oils instead of the water. These poisons can be equipped alongside wielded weapon sets and have a chance to be applied to your enemy during each heavy or light attack of associated weapons. Okay, so it's based off of your light and heavy attacks. Poisons, unlike other equipped items, are consumed as they are applied. Poisons are also subject to dilution, with each effect becoming less potent as more effects are added. Oils are sourced from various deadly monsters throughout Tamriel. The new regions have been added to many critters and monsters throughout Tamriel and create multiple new effects for both potions and poisons. While a weapon set has a poison equipped, any weapon enchantment on that weapon set are temporarily suppressed. So you have to choose whether you want to use a poison or a weapon enchant. Master weapons and Maelstrom weapons have their unique ability modifying effect suppressed, while their stat bonus is not suppressed. Okay. So if you're using, for example, a Maelstrom 2H, well, that's actually not that bad when you think about it. For certain classes, it's not that bad. For example, on my Stamina Nightblade, I still choose Ambush over Crit Rush. So my extra 187 weapon damage will still be applied, but since I'm not really taking advantage of the dot that I get from Crit Rush, I can just put a poison on that weapon, so it boosts that. But for someone who uses Crit Rush, they either have to use the dot from Crit Rush, which is applied from the 2H, or they use a poison and give up the dot. Weapon tooltips have been updated to support poisons. When a poison is equipped, the weapon enchant and charge will be suppressed and replaced by the poison inscription and count. Add indicators for armor durability and weapon charge. Okay. So they didn't actually say what poisons are going to be craftable, what they do, and things like that. They did say some things like some poisons will do damage, snare, or whatever, and some poisons will make you lose magic or stamina. And that's all really interesting. I just want to see how this actually goes into the game and how it applies and how it affects PvP. Grouping tool improvements. Item trait improvements. Weapons. Charge. This trait now increases your chance to apply status effects instead of increasing the amount of enchantment charges on your weapon. That's really cool. That's actually a good change. I like that. For example, my Lich set is charged, and that's kind of useless. But now I might be considering putting a more you know, a different trait. Maybe I might put a specific poison, or maybe I might put disease on my Lich charged resto, and it'll be a little more useful. Defending. This trait now increases your physical resistance and spell resistance by flat values instead of percentages. Now, I don't know how to feel about this one. I know this helps light armor users and people who have lower resistance, but how much of a flat value? We got to figure out what the flat value is. I know people who have higher armor and spell resistance might lose some from this, but I don't know. That's not a lot of people use defending anyway, so it's not a big deal. This trait now also reduces the cooldown on your weapon enchantment in addition to increasing its damage. Oh wow. Oh wow. That's gonna mix. I don't know if it's just weapon enchantment or if it's also gonna apply to poisons. Because aren't poisons considered weapon enchantments in a way? Or is this not gonna affect that? Or maybe it will. Intricate. Was this even a trait? What was this? What was intricate? Was it the one that when you sold it was worth more? This trait now also increases the amount of refined material you obtain whenever you deconstruct the weapon in addition to increasing the amount of inspiration gained. Okay. Yeah, this was the one where it was worth more. Forgot about this trait. Nernhoned. This trait now increases the damage of the weapon. Well, that's not cool for stamina builds. Because what is increasing? Increasing the damage of the weapon means you're pretty much increasing the weapon and spell damage the weapon provides. Nernhoned doesn't give armor penetration, which is what physical stamina builds use. So this is just a direct buff to magic builds. Damn, that's mixed feelings about that one. I don't know by how much though. It's just saying increases the damage, but by how much? Now Nernhoned is going to be worth a lot more. I mean, it was already the best in slot for magic builds. See, I don't see what this does for the game. Like, if it's already best in slot, why would you buff best in slot, right? Nernhoned was best in slot for magic builds. But now it's not just best in slot, it's bestest in slot, I guess. Why would you do that? I don't know. Powered. This trait now increases your healing done instead of reducing the cooldown on your weapon enchant. Cool. Cool. Sharpened. This trait now increases your physical penetration and spell penetration. Oh, by flat values instead of penetration. Instead of percentages. Okay. No, I actually don't know how to feel about that either. Because think about it this way. Okay, this is buffing heavy armor, which is cool. That's a good thing. I guess. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this one. It's a lot of information right off the bat. So, I mean, this means that sharpened versus light armor or low resistance users will do more damage. But the thing is, against low resistance users, you already did a lot of damage. And sharpened really helped you penetrate through the people who had higher armor values. So, I don't know how to do about this one, but we'll see what the flat values are. There's no numbers on the patch notes. We have to log in and actually look and see what they actually are. Training. This trait now increases all experience gained from all kills by percentage instead of increasing your weapon skills line and experience only. Cool. This will definitely help. Like if you have a skill line, you haven't leveled or a certain ability, this will definitely help. Weighted. This trait now grants you a chance to gain additional ultimate whenever you generate ultimate normally and has been renamed to decisive. Damn. This trait now grants you a chance to gain additional ultimate whenever you generate ultimate normally. It's been renamed to decisive. How much additional ultimate? And what's like the proc rate and all that stuff? There's a lot of questions, you know? There's a lot of questions about this one. I kind of want to... I think I have a weighted Maelstrom bow. My Maelstrom bow might be weighted, but I could be wrong. That's cool. That's cool. Armor. Exploration. This trait now increases all gold gain from monster kills instead of increasing exploration experience gain. Has been renamed to Prosperous. Impenetrable. This trait now also reduces the durability damage taken of the item, in addition to reducing the damage taken from critical hits. Okay, that kind of only really affects PvE. There's no durability loss in PvP. Intricate. This trait now also increases the amount of refined materials you obtain. Okay, that's pretty much the same over there. Nernhoned. This trait now increases physical resistance by a flat value. Sturdy. This trait now reduces the cost of block. By how much? Where are the numbers? The numbers, Mason, what do they mean? Where are they, though? Seriously. We gotta log in to find everything out. It's still offline. I want to know the numbers, guys. Trading. This trait now increases all experience gained from all kills by percentage. Okay. Well fitted. This trait now also reduces the cost of dodge roll, in addition to reducing the cost of sprint. Damn, I gotta find my skirmisher. Skirmisher's still only V14. Wave the air, I guess. No, but wave the air is not all well fitted. I know skirmisher was all well fitted, but doesn't skirmisher come from Sanctum of Ophidia? And doesn't Sanctum of Ophidia, yeah, Sanctum of Ophidia, does it drop skirmisher? I'm pretty sure it does, because if it does, that means we're gonna get V16 skirmisher, which means well fitted on V16 skirmisher won't be that bad. Dodge rolling still not the way to go, but that's actually not a bad trait. I like that. That's cool. But by how much? Where are the numbers? I'm pretty sure Sanctum of Ophidia has dropped skirmisher. That means skirmisher is going to be V16 again. And Wave the Air is also V16. It's already V16 in game, but Wave the Air is irrelevant because it doesn't really come in well fit. It comes in like other stuff. Improved Cyrodiil vendors. All armor sold by the rare item merchants in exchange for alliance points has the impenetrable trait now. Armor she sells for gold is unchanged. Okay, so now you can get impen or infused. Impen for AP, infused for gold. So now you have two options. That's cool. Yeah, it does drop, yeah. And skirmisher is tradable. Reload your launcher for update. Alright. Oh, there we go. It's downloading. Awesome. Improved Cyrodiil vendors. Alright. Armors. Okay. Armors, leather workers, clothers, weaponsmith, and magus vendors Cyrodiil now sell boxes of green quality non-set items. These boxes have 10% chance to instead award a blue quality set item. Okay. Elite gear vendors in Cyrodiil now sell boxes containing blue quality set items. These boxes have a 5% chance to instead award purple quality set item. So is these set items, are they just like, which set items are we talking about? Like Vicious Death, Archmage, things like that? I don't know. We'll find out. Items received from these new boxes scale to your level and champion point at the moment you open the box. Up to and including champion 160. Okay, so the question is Morag Tong in here? Is Shadow Walker in here? Because that's my question. That's what's really important to me. Is Ravager in here? Is Morag Tong, Ravager, Shadow Walker? Because those are only V14, but if it scales to 160 and they're in here, that's cool. But I don't know about this. Like, what if it's just the reward of the worthy stuff? Updates to Sanctum of Ophidia. So you know, items and weapon sets obtained in this trial have been updated to max level, which is now champion 160. So I don't know all the sets. I know Skirmisher is one of them. I'm really happy about that. I really like Skirmisher. Hawkeye as well used to be. Hopefully it's part of this. Craft bags. So craft bags additional inventory section, which does not count against your inventory limit, is shared across all characters on the account and can hold an effectively unlimited number of all basic crafting supplies. This is if you're an ESO Plus member. That's a really big reason to be a sub if you have a lot of crafting material and you craft a lot of things. Basically, like infinite supply for your crafting material, which is shared across all accounts, so you can access it from any account. Item locking. If you lock an item, it will protect it from selling it, guild store listing, trading, mail, guild bank deposits, crafting station. Okay, that's cool. I've never accidentally deconstructed or messed up an item, but I know some people have, and this was pretty nice for it. New collectible functionality and changes. Alright, I don't need to look at this. New die. You will now be able to purchase additional character slots through an in-game crown store. You'll be able to purchase up to 4 additional slots. I might actually have to do this. I think I have all 8 used up, but I don't have all 8 leveled. But if I do get them leveled now that veteran ranks are removed, I might have to do this. Not bad. At least they're giving us the option. Nameplates. A new option for nameplates has been added to the settings when you use control in the settings. Okay, names are off by default. Defaults for existing health bars. Okay, that's cool. Just a little more UI. Guild names are shown based on the guild tab which you are wearing. You is wearing. You are wearing. Okay, that's cool. A little more flair for the people. Character and user ID display. Alright. Enchanting improvements. Enchantment glyphs no longer have an upper limit on the equipment they can be applied to. This means a lower level enchantment can now be applied to a higher level piece of gear. All harvestable runestones are okay. The overall power of weapon enchantments has been significantly increased. So they improved weapon enchantments to to make it balance with poisons. So I want to see how the balance is actually going to work, because just being a little like without actually looking at anything, I feel like poisons are going to be the go-to pick over weapon enchants, like 99% of the time. But hopefully they did a good job in balancing this aspect. Currently, 5 of spades. Currently, I have everything turned off while I look this over. But as soon as I'm done with this, I'll turn it back on and I'll read over what I missed. Harvest nodes, okay. Armor improvements, clipping and floating issues, cool. Combat animation prioritization. We adjusted the combat animation priority so that you will see impacts and effects for each ability and attack fired when played in rapid succession, without it affecting DPS. Blocking mechanics have been excluded from this change based on feedback from the last PTS testing cycle. That was my main issue with the last PTS. Blocking was invisible sometimes, and it made it look a little clunky, made it feel a little slow. Like you couldn't block, cancel Dawnbreaker, for example. So, curious to see how this turns out. Thank you for the half year, Spades. I appreciate it, man. Templates. Supplying 6 Dark Brotherhood character templates with 2 options for each alliance. One template is level 53 on champion points, and one template is level 49. In addition, we've made some improvements to the crafting options, including the template. Okay. Alright, they gave this is the templates. Poison effects are intended to become weaker as the number of effects on the potion increases. This favor is not yet working as intended. So okay. Basically, poison is going to be much stronger. These are just known issues right now. Alright, let me skip through this. Remove the gate on the Arena Coliseum. Skip through the monsters. Updated the goods sold by Telvar Stone merchants to include many more set items and rare goods. Cool. You will now receive the dungeon final completion. Okay. Alright. Combat monsters. Added weapons to Briarheart, Trinamax Veiler, and Mark of the Pariah set. So you will now be able to use weapons to complete your Briarheart set and all that other stuff. They're still not tradable though. But that opens up opportunity for certain builds. Maelstrom Arena. Improve the rewards for Maelstrom Arena. So now every level of the arena is guaranteed to grant a set item. The only exception is the final arena veteran mode, which may still drop a Maelstrom weapon instead. So I might be able to get my 5-piece hunt and the other things that I needed. That's guaranteed. Just to get a set item. That's cool. But what if you go through the first arena? Let's say I'm trying to get 5-piece of the hunt set. Did they adjust jewelries? Did they adjust jewelries? Are jewelries still only available in the last 2 arenas? I gotta test that because I need a hunt ring. Now, would the best way to get a hunt ring is to just do the arena over and over, or should I do the first round and then start over and do the first round over and over again? I don't know. We'll test that. It's not priority, but we'll test it. Expanded the weapons awarded through the Maelstrom Arena leaderboard to include a wide variety of traits, including Nernhond. You said what? God damn it. Like, I'm happy, but this means I gotta go back and grab a fire Destro Nernhond staff, or an ice, or lightning, or something. I gotta grab something that's Nernhond. Damn it. I don't like the arena. Like it's a good arena and but I don't like PvE, but I gotta go back and I gotta get this. I gotta get my fire staff now. Or my ice staff. I know Blobs needs to go back and get an ice staff. Because he's probably using a sharpened one. And now he's gonna want a Nernhond. Ooh. A lot of arena runs are gonna be coming up soon. Quests. Okay. Visual effects. Yeah, my PTS is downloading right now. Public dungeons. Heist. Alliance War. Keeps now have XP rewards based on kills in the area, much like the Alliance Point pool rewards. This pool rewards to players that defend a keep or capture an enemy keep. Cool. Forward camps can no longer be deployed in your starter locations in Cyrodiil. That's nice to avoid troll camping. You no longer can tap target siege weapons. Thank you, Lord. But what about what about not just siege weapons, but what about siege walls? Because I know you can tap target certain parts of the wall on the keeps, which will get you stuck and you have to double escape. Hopefully that also applies. You can now choose to unassign yourself from a campaign entirely. That's cool. The serial quests unlocked with the Bounty Hunter passive have been changed to daily quests instead of repeatable quests. What is that? I don't even know what that is. The experience awarded by those quests have been increased, and they also award alliance points in owning item, which can be sold for gold. Itemization. Increase the chance to receive a piece of jewelry from the Cyrodiil leaderboards rewards to 50%. Thank you. Expanded the rewards for those in the top 2% of the leaderboard to include a wider variety of traits, including Nernhond. God damn this Nernhond thing. But, yeah, there should be a... that means you can get Nern on... Well... Oh. God damn it! I'm happy about this, but I'm just thinking to myself right now, that means I need to get a hold of Nernhond Vicious Death swords. Nernhond Vicious Death, because right now I'm using sharpened. But with Nernhond Vicious Death swords and with the buff to Nernhond, which makes them do more damage, now you can get Nernhond swords. And that's just crazy. That's crazy. Nernhond has been buffed. It hasn't been nerfed. It's been buffed. We already read through it. It now increases the damage of the weapon as well. Doesn't only do penetration. Let's go back real quick. Did we read that? Did we read it right? Did we read the Nernhond right, or did I read it wrong? Nernhond still has penetration, but now also increases the damage. Or did they just increase damage without increasing, and they remove the penetration aspect? I don't want to scroll up and then like lose my spot. Okay, so Nirnhone increases spell/weapon damage, but they remove the penetration. Okay. It just adds weapon and spell damage. Okay. I read that wrong. I don't know if you guys called me out on it. I thought it still had penetration, but now increases damage. So actually, to be honest with you, Sharpen and Nirnhone, they, like, they're interchangeable at this point. That means they can go this way or that way between what you go with. They're interchangeable. That's basically what it's coming down to. If you want more damage or more penetration, sometimes more penetration ends up netting you more damage. Sometimes more damage ends up netting you more damage, just because you have other sources of penetration or whatever. So I kind of missed that, but yeah, people are gonna have to do a lot of tests to understand what this actually means. All right. Visual. Abilities that heal based on their damage done, Strife, Puncturing Sweeps, will no longer double dip in the critical strike modifier. Okay. Yeah, I noticed that like Magicka Templars were healing like crazy with the Magicka jabs and things like that because they're getting major crits. The damage from these abilities can still critically strike, but the healing will no longer be able to roll for additional critical strike chance. One Sharpen, one Nirn. That's not bad. You can mix them and match them. All pets and summons will now have 5,000 additional health in PvP areas. Nope, still not gonna make a pet build. I don't care if sorcerer pets are overpowered. I don't care if they run seared. I just don't play with pets, you know? That's not my playstyle, so I'm not gonna play with pets, no matter how many of you ask me. Alright. Break Free no longer removes or provides immunity to silence effects. Damn, son. Hold up. I gotta calculate. Damn. Okay. So you negate someone, they CC break the negate, and they're still silenced? That's pretty cool. That's actually really nice. That's really nice. But what if like multiple sorcerers negate the inside of like a keep, like a tight area? Just boom, you will not be able to cast anything. And they buffed negate apparently. They made negate heal. Silence. What other aspects silence? Is negate the only silence in the game? I believe it is. Could be wrong. Not sure. This change mainly applies to the negate magic player ability, as most content and monster-based silence effects were already unbreakable. Break Free no longer removes or provides immunity. Okay. It's a buff to the Templar bubble. Templars have a bubble that silences. No, it doesn't silence them. I believe it just reflects. I have no idea. We'll see. We'll look into it. Charge abilities such as Focus Charge and Shield Charge will now fire more reliably. I hope so. Fix an issue where you're able to block the damage over time from various players' abilities such as Poison Arrow and Zero Flame. Wait. Fixed an issue where you were able to block the damage over time from various player abilities, such as Poison Arrow or Unstable Flame. This was an issue? This wasn't intended? So you are not supposed to be able to block the Unstable Flame and Poison Arrow? Like they're not blockable? Our dot's not supposed to be blockable? Because I was always I really like dots not being blockable because I like dots actually doing decent damage. So are they not blockable? Is that what it's saying? I don't know. I gotta find out. Oh, it kept it from hitting you at all. I don't know. We got to figure out what this is. A lot of the patch notes is just, it's words. We got to go in and test things on our own. That's what the PTS is for. We got to go in and test a lot of things. Fixed an issue where players were able to cast some abilities such as regeneration without respect. Okay, yeah, I know about that. Fixed an issue where the resource return values from heavy attacks were not scaling upwards at level 50. Cool. Fixed. The first set is still blockable, I know that. Fixed numerous ability tooltips for... Okay. Fixed numerous issues with abilities displaying incorrect or placeholder icons. Okay, ability costs are now color-coded on the tooltip. Alright. Dragon Knight! Is the magic of DK back? Let's find out. Nope, it's not back. Okay, let's go. Ardent Flame, Burning Breath, Fiery Breath Morph. Rename this morph to Noxious Breath. In addition, this morph now deals poison damage instead of flame damage. I don't know how... Which CP tree? Which CP passive increases poison damage? Poison scales with Mighty, right? That doesn't change much. But... people have to split their CP in Elemental and Mighty in order to get both bonuses. That's not true. This is the Stamina Morph. Fiery Breath is a Stamina Morph. Magicka DK still have the fire damage. This is a Stamina ability that now does poison damage instead of physical damage. Mighty increases physical and poison damage. So you don't have to change your CP. But you gotta think about it a little bit further. What does this do for other things? For other things. What does this do? This... well, they changed it from... didn't it used to be fire? This is a buff. This is a buff, okay? Because... this used to be fire damage, right? That means now the Stam DK, typically Stam DKs don't put any points into Elemental Expert. So now their Mighty will increase this damage output. Another thing you should look for is if Morag Tong is making a return, Morag Tong increases your poison damage by 15%, which is pretty cool. And also gives you double weapon damage. Now I don't know if they changed Unstable Flame. Okay, they did. Rename this morph to Venomous Claw. In addition, this morph now deals poison damage instead of flame damage. So if Morag Tong returned, you can mix 5-piece Morag Tong for an extra 15% on your poison damage. Now, poison can be countered by certain racial passives. I believe Wood Elves have a little bit of poison resistance, but when it comes to resistance, don't even worry about racial passives. Dark Elves have fire resistance, but it's shitty. Like the Breton's 3% spell resistance pretty much equals or is better versus fire damage compared to the Dark Elf. So it doesn't really even take into effect. Those need to be adjusted a little bit, in my opinion. Wood Elf will not give you enough resistance. It just doesn't exist. I'll tell you that right now. It doesn't make sense. Like, Morag doesn't drop from Sanctum Ophidia. I'm aware of that, but they did change a lot of the vendors, and they didn't explain exactly what the box may drop. We'll log in real soon and we'll check. Oh, the PTS is done, but I gotta go through this first, guys. We'll log in real soon. I like this poison change. Argonian has poison resistance? Okay. Kinding. Rename this passive ability to combustion. In addition, this passive ability now also increases the damage of the poison side effects. Okay. Okay. Rename this passive ability to World and Ruin. In addition, this passive ability now also increases the damage of poison area effects. Okay. Earth and Heart. Corrosive Armor. Magma Armor Morph. This morph now deals poison damage instead of flame damage. I'm telling you, if Morik Tong comes back, Morik Tong is going to be in a really hot, 5-piece to have on a stand DK. Poison Injection, bunch of poison, Unstable Flame, Fiery Breath. Fossilize, Petrify Morph. Reduce the duration of the root applied from this morph to disorient to 3 seconds instead of 4 seconds, basically. At all ranks, okay. Just 1 second off, that's cool. Fossilize now deals slightly more damage as it ranks up. Update the visual effects of the root from this morph to be more visually obvious. Okay. Fragmented Shield. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, we also increase the damage this morph deals with the shield expires or is moved by 30%. I don't know if that's going to be worth using, but we'll see. Obsidian Shield. Reduce the duration of this ability and its morph to 6 seconds from 20 seconds. I see what's going on here. I assume this is going to be applied to all shields. 6 seconds from 20 seconds. I see what's going on here. Well, the thing about Obsidian Shield, it's such a small shield, right? So it's such a small shield that keep reading. Hold up. Assassination. Incapitating Strike. Death Strike. Deathstroke Morph. This morph now always stuns the target when it's used, regardless of the caster's health. This morph now also deals disease damage instead of magic damage. Oh shit. I'm definitely gonna have to switch to this one instead of Soul Harvest on my Stamina Nightblade. Because Soul Harvest does not get boosted by the CP tree. So on a Stamina Nightblade, you definitely want to use Incapitating now, because your Mighty will improve it. That's really cool. Now this is, as of right now, I haven't read all the other ultimates, but as of right now, I assume also Dawnbreaker got some treatment like that, but as of right now, because of this change alone, Dragon Leap is no longer the only ultimate in the game that is like physical based. Killer's Blade. This morph now deals disease damage instead of magic damage. Thank you. Thank you. Lotus Fan, Double Strike. Fix an issue where the damage over time applied by this morph was not being correctly suppressed by invisibility effects such as Shadow Cloak. Thank you. Thank you. Seriously. I hated this so much. I would get so pissed when a Magic and Nightblade Lotus Fan me, because when they did that, that meant I was not able to cloak for like 5 seconds, because every dot would pull me out. Relentless Focus, Grim Focus Morph. This morph Spectral Bow proc has been renamed to Assassin's Scourge, and now deals disease damage instead of magic damage. Cool. Cool, that's a lot of good stamina buffs. Shadow Cloak, fix an issue where its ability and its morphs could be used to completely negate the Meteor ability. What the fuck? No! Stop, just stop. You should nerf Meteor. Stop doing this. You should be able to reflect it. You should be able to dodge it. You should be able to cloak it. Just stop, okay? Enough of this bullshit. Stop making Meteor so easy to use. It was already a strong ability way before. You should be able to, like, okay, let me explain this for the people who are pro Meteor, okay? You're like, why can you reflect Meteor when you can't reflect other ultimates in the game? Let me explain to you something real quick, okay? You can dodge roll every single other ultimate in the game. You cannot dodge roll a Meteor. Do you know what happens when you try to dodge roll a Meteor? You waste your stamina dodging, and then you get, boom, slapped on the back with a fucking Meteor. You get CC, you gotta CC break that. Meteor is not dodgeable. Other ultimates are dodgeable. So Meteor should be reflectable. Balance, people. Balance. Now, Meteor is not reflectable, not cloakable, none of that stuff. You can cloak other ultimates. You can dodge other ultimates. But guess what? Meteor, though, you can't reflect it. You can't dodge roll it. You can't cloak it. You can't do shit besides block it. It forces you to block. It forces you to block it. And when you only have one option, that's not balance. That's called bullshit. Alright? Now, I was already mad about meteor not being reflectable, but this is just like, it just shows the direction they want to go with it. I'm fine with you not being able to cloak, reflect, meteor. But you gotta be able to dodge it. Right? But if you can't dodge it, then you gotta be able to cloak or reflect it. There has to be certain things that you can do to counter specific abilities. For example, let's look at the ultimate single target, like what Meteor is. It's a single targeted ultimate. Let's look at Soul Harvest, for example. Soul Harvest, you cast it on an opponent. They can block it, they can dodge it, they can cloak it. Right? Meteor. They cast it on an opponent. You can block it. That's it. You can just block Meteor. Or you can take it. You can take the damage. That's it. You can just block it or take the damage. That is all you can do with Meteor. That is all you can do with Meteor. That's it. That's all you can do. You can't walk out of range like Nova or Standard of Might. You can't walk out of the range. You can't dodge roll it like Soul Harvest or other things. It can't miss like Dawnbreaker or Atronach, which are aimed. It's just the perfect ultimate. It is the perfect because it has the least amount of counters, the smallest amount of counters. You can block it. That's it. You can block it. Good luck blocking it if you don't have enough stamina. If you're a Magicka based build, good luck blocking it. You can't dodge roll Meteor. If you have, it's latency issue. You can't actually dodge roll a Meteor. It's impossible. You can only block a Meteor. If you try to dodge it, it's gonna still hit you. This is the only change I'm so far. This is the only change I'm like not happy about. Everything else I'm pretty happy about. Just to get this straight, like I'm pretty happy about every other change that's happened so far. This is the only other change This is the only change I'm not happy about. And it goes back to the previous patch. I think Meteor should still be reflectable. You gotta have some sort of like some thought you put into before throwing a Meteor. You know, there should be some thought, right? Or just make it dodgeable. Make it dodgeable. Or make it to where a Meteor is not dodgeable or reflectable, but make it work like the Atronach. Make it to where you have to aim the Meteor, right? You have to aim the Meteor at someone. You click the ultimate, a little yellow circle pops up, and you aim where you want to shoot it, and it's instant. It's a lot faster, so you can skill target and skill shot people with the Meteor. But right now, it's the heat-seeking missile that you can't dodge, reflect, cloak, or... Yeah, you can only block it. Yeah, you can only block it. That's it. All right. Dark Magic Sorcerer. Absorption Field. Redesign this morph so it now heals you and your allies and standing within the area of effect, in addition to stunning or silencing enemies. Suppression Field. Redesign this morph so it now damages enemies standing within the area of effect, in addition to stunning or silencing enemies. Okay, so they buffed negate, which is cool. They buffed negate. Can you streak Meteor? No, it's still gonna hit you. You'll streak out of the range with the AoE, but it'll still hit you. Daedric Summoning. Fix an issue where many sorcerers' pets did not have any physical resistance. They will now all have a normal amount of physical resistance equal to spell resistance. Cool. Bound Armor. This ability of swords no longer permanently change your appearance when they are toggled on. Instead, they now only display a brief visual effect when toggled on. Cool. You don't lose your visual. Conjured Ward. Reduce the duration of this ability and the hard ward morph to 6 seconds from 20 seconds. I mean... Okay, let's think about this for a second, okay? In the heat of battle, typically speaking, like in a really like intense battle, 6 seconds is around the time where you recast your shields, right? You cast your shields, you put a, but this will affect sorcerers in different ways that you're not really thinking about. For example, let's say you're a sorcerer and you're fighting a Stamina Nightblade or just a heavy burst build, and you have them on the defensive, right? You're like, you're on your destro bar or dual bar. You're putting a lot of shots into them. Like you're like, take this, sucker. And then you have your shields up. And then after like 6 seconds of them dodge rolling, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They pounce your ass. Your shields are all down, and they fucking one-shot you or something, you know? That's... I don't understand. Like, okay, you want to know why I think shields are overpowered? I've explained this before. Let me tell you why shields are overpowered, right? And why this is probably not the answer for shields. Let me tell you. Currently, the normal crit modifier is 2.0, I think. Or something like that. So you can get your crit modifier really high. And there's a lot of crit bonuses. And champion trees that affect your critical damage. And passives that increase your crit and increase your damage. And there's a Munda Stone for crit. There's a lot of different ways that you can boost your critical damage. And typically speaking, people will do like a 4K non-crit. And they'll hit like 8K when they crit. What I'm saying is there's a lot of crit bonuses. So when you go against someone and you can't crit completely, and if you have high crit and high crit modifiers, that negates a huge part of your build. You are not allowed to crit on them. You're not allowed to crit on a Sorc if they are really good with their shields. You're not going to get crit into them. So your damage gets reduced tremendously against them. You're just not doing the damage that you're supposed to be doing. All right? You're not doing enough damage because a lot of your damage is relying on the fact that you can crit and you have high crit modifiers. So when you go against some people who are shield stacking, you're not critting, so it's taking you forever to take the shields down, and then they're just going to reapply their shields. My opinion, you can keep the 20-second shields, just make them critable, and increase the shield size just a little bit to you know, so it's not a huge nerf, right? Like, let's say your typical Hardened Ward is 10K. Make Hardened Ward 15K, right? I mean, obviously it depends on your actual stats, but let's say it's typically 10K. Buff the shield size to 15K. Make it critable. Now, you're not as likely to negate and be as tanky, you know? You would have to rely a little bit more on your resistance instead of just putting on shields. But yeah, 6 seconds, that's... That's interesting. That's interesting. I know the good sorcerers are still going to be fine. The sorcerers who know what they're doing are still going to be fine. The sorcerers who are... Well, I know some sorcerers that when I fight them... They just stay on their shield bar. So this is not going to affect those guys. Those guys who are constantly reapplying Hardened Ward, you know, it's like clap, Hardened Ward, Hardened Ward, Hardened Ward. Those guys, this doesn't affect them. They already reapply it within like 5 seconds. Even if they don't take any damage, they'll reapply it just because they have enough recovery to do it. This is just gonna. I don't know. I don't like this change. I would rather see shields critable and increase their size instead of doing this. Put that ward on your front bar. Yeah, you gotta start running ward on your front bar instead of your back bar. Empowered ward. Reduced the duration of this morph to 8 seconds from 20 seconds. Oh shit! Now you gotta start using empowered for the extra 2 seconds. I see you, Yui. I mean, I understand that. Expert Summoner. Redesign this passive ability so now it grants you 40% more maximum health whenever you have something put active. This ability is old morphs now based on effects for your pets. Storm Calling, Thundering Presence. Rename this morph to Hurricane. Redesign this morph so it now increases the size and damage of the periodic effect the longer it is active. Increase up to 225% more damage. This morph now deals physical damage instead of shock damage. So this is the stem morphs. How are Magic and Nightblades looking so far in the update? Not much has changed on the Magic and Nightblade. They're gonna be good. I looked at the Nightblade changes and they're gonna be good. Not much has changed for them. Stamina Nightblade's got a pretty good amount of boosts and a pretty good amount of bonuses, so liking that. Ajax Spear! Burning Light. This passive ability now deals physical damage or magic damage. Cool. Buff to Stamina Templars based on whether your weapon damage or spell damage is higher, respectively. This is a nice buff to Stamina Templar. I'm glad about this. I'm really happy about this because my Stamina Templar is now considered V16. He was V2, but now he's V16 because of the champion rank removal. So I'll be able to take full advantage of that. And I'll be able to use my Maelstrom weapons and things like that on my Stamina Templar. Yeah, this is the only buff for Stam Sorks, but I don't think this is a really big buff. I don't know a lot of Stam Sorks who even use Thundering Presence. It's a pretty big Stam drain, but whatever. Power of the Light. Black Lash Morph. This morph now deals physical damage instead of magic damage. Okay. Cleansing Ritual. This ability now always removes 2 harmful effects from the casting Templar as a baseline effect, increased from 1 harmful effect. Extended Ritual. Increases Source duration to 18 in 2024. Okay. Focus Healing. Rename this passive ability to Sacred Ground. This passive ability has gained a new effect. In addition to providing the minor mending buff, it now increases the movement speed of enemies. What? This ability now also reduces the movement speed of enemies by 15/30% whenever they stand in your cleansing ritual. God damn. God damn, dude. That ritual is pretty big and easy to like keep up. It's like snare. Just more snares, dude. More snares. I don't like that. I don't like snares. Stand your ground though. Protect the house. Protect the house. You got a 30% snare about around anyone who enters your little circle is snared. But this isn't even a snare. Is this a snare or is this a reduction of movement speed? Because I know like my question is, will this stack with snares or will this be considered its own thing? I don't know. This is gonna be a pain in the ass to go against. I know that. Purifying Ritual. Rename this morph to Ritual of Retribution Edition. We redesigned this morph so now it damages enemies in its area of effect every 2 seconds for the same amount, and it heals allies. Alright. Rush Ceremony. This ability and its morphs can no longer heal allies through walls and other line of sight blockers. Hey! I like that. I really, really like that. I like that a lot. Because I hated seeing Templars, like, let's say this is a Templar. This Lemonade can is a Templar. And he's just like hiding underneath the desk. And I'm fighting someone over here and he's just getting healed by random people, you know? Accidentally. Like, he's like unintentionally saving this guy's life by spamming heals. But yeah, that's really cool. I like that. Thank you. Seriously, thank you. Like, hell, dude, this is crazy. We no longer will have the John Cena Templars. You can't see me. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter if we can't see you, because if we can't see you, you can't heal your ally. Alright? No more John Cena Templars. Weapon, two-handed. Cleave, increase the damage over time from this ability and source by 20%. Still probably won't be using this. Executioner, reverse slash morph. Redesign this morph so it no longer passively increases the damage of all two-handed abilities while slotted. Instead, it increases the scaling bonus damage to the health target to maximum of 50%. Increase from 300%. Okay, cool. That kind of nerfs Wrecking Blow a little bit. Kind of nerfs light attacks and heavy attacks at lower health, but you have a little bit more execute damage. I'm going to get on the PTS as soon as we're done reading this. Forward Momentum. Increase the duration of the snare and mobilization immunity provided by this morph to up to 8 seconds. Damn. 8 seconds of snare immunity using Forward Momentum. Now you'll give up the rally burst heal. But that's actually not that bad. 8 seconds, that actually makes you think. Because you can drop Shuffle if you don't want Shuffle. But Shuffle's really powerful. So. Reverse Slice. Reverse Slash Morph. Increase the splash damage from this morph to up to 65% from 44%. Yeah, no one's going to use this. Like, no one's going to use it. No. What you really want to do with this ability is make it act like vicious death in a way, right? In a way. Vicious death, like what you want to do with this ability is if you kill someone, like make it to where like half their health is done in a small radius, like damage wise, or their full health gets applied as a dot to the people around them that died. You gotta really like just go over the top with this ability, but no one's gonna use this. As like, it just doesn't work. Doesn't work. You gotta give it some real big boosts. This ability and the Wrecking Blow morph no longer knock back and stun enemies hit. Nice. Oh, you know that's not really that nice. I don't usually play with the CC on my DK. I just use Wrecking Blow for CC. But I mean, using Fossilize isn't bad. I might have to use Fossilize now. But I actually like this. I hated how it was like all in one. Wrecking Blow will continue to add the major and power buff to your next attack as a morph effect. Dizzying Swing will no longer apply the minor main buff to enemies hit. Instead, it will add a knockback and stun to the ability. Okay. Well, think of it this way. If you don't spam Wrecking Blow, Dizzying Swing isn't that bad of a choice. You don't get the major and power. I get that. Now you can get the major and power from Mage Light if you're a ganker. You hit them with Dizzying Swing and knock them up. But now like, you can go both ways with this. Like, if you don't want to run a CC, you can go with Dizzying Swing, and that'll act as your CC. What CC do Stamsorks have now? Dizzying Swing. Streak. Sorry. Rest in peace, Stamsorks. I'm sorry. Alright. Yeah, that's cool. One hand and shield. Defensive stance. Defensive posture morph. Fixing a shield with morph stun effect would trigger on every reflection if you lay a defensive stance with any other reflectability. Okay. Power Bash. Increase the damage of its ability and its morphs by 85%, but it will no longer stun or disorient enemies hit. Reduce the range of this ability and its force to the standard instant cast mana range of 5 meters from 7 meters. Yo, this is actually not that bad. Like, this fixes the reverberating bash issue, and it kind of buffs it, and it makes it a little more useful. Yo, that's not that bad, man. 85%, that's a big boost. Then you don't have to worry about reverberating bash stun being a pain in the ass. Power Slam. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, we redesigned this morph so while slotted, blocking attack will increase the damage of your next Power Slam by 25% for 5 seconds. Damn, this is a passive, right? So while slotted, blocking an attack will increase the damage of your next Power Slam. Oh, it's just a Power Slam by 25%. But how much damage can you really get out of these abilities? Power Bash. It's really not that high, right? I mean, there's... Reverb Bash CC was fixed. It was sort of fixed. I still think the range on Reverberating Bash 7 meters is too long, too high. It's 5 meters is better. But additional damage with no CC, I prefer that. Like, I prefer going against that and using that. Dual Wield. Blade Cloak. Fix an issue with its ability and its force. We're not dealing their final tick of damage. Okay. Blinding Fury. Blinding Flurry. Flurry morph. Rename its morph to Bloodthirst. In addition to the changes made to this ability's morph, this morph has been redesigned so now it heals you for 6% of damage done with the final hit. See, okay, so let me tell you something about flurry ability that I don't like, right? Flurry, a lot of the damage is at the end of the ability. The last hit is what does the most damage. PvP, yeah, noteworthy. Like power slam is actually going to hit harder with that boost. So removing the CC and making it hit harder is a good thing in my opinion. But so flurry, the last hit does the most damage, right? And now the last hit can heal you, but the problem is in PvP it's very fast paced, and usually against a good player they won't allow you to get the last hit. They will stun you, CC you, walk out of range or whatever, so it's hard to get that last hit in. And Maelstrom daggers are only viable by, you only get that buff if you get the last hit in. If you don't get the last hit in, you don't get the bonus. Deadly Cloak, Blade Cloak Morph. Redesign this morph so it no longer grants a thrown knife on activation. Instead, it increases the area of effect damage by 70%. I don't get it. Was there AoE attached to this ability in the past? I don't get it. Flurry. Oh wait, they changed. Okay, Flurry. Oh wait. They did change some things with Flurry. This is like the morph. This is the actual ability, the base ability. Reduce the channel duration for this ability and its morphs to 0.6 seconds from 1.3 seconds, and now also hits 5 times instead of 6. Oh, that's really cool. I have Maelstrom daggers, and I've always wanted to use them like competitively. I've used them uncompetitively, like I've used them for fun. It's really fun to play with them. But 0.6 and then put a dot, and then 0.6 and then put a dot, and with like the poison dots that DKs are getting, maybe more Tongue mixed in. Got to level up my dual wield on my DK, but my okay, that's cool. Reduce the overall damage and cost to compensate the above changes. By how much though? Hopefully it's not that much. Nope, the total DPS when using this ability should remain unchanged. Cool. Hidden Blade. Increase the amount of time this ability and its force provide the major battalion above to 20 seconds from 10 seconds. Rapid Strikes, Flurry Morph. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, the increase in damage for each subsequent hit has been increased to 3% more damage, up from 2% to account for the decrease in total hits. This morph continues to increase damage to subsequent hits as a morph effect. Okay. As soon as I'm done reading the patch notes, guys, we're going to hop in game and review a lot of stuff. Shrouded Daggers, Hidden Blade Morph. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, the 2 daggers bounces off this morph now deal 20% additional damage per bounce from the initial damage. Increase from dealing a flat 50% initial damage. Okay. Yo, what's up, Jay Watts? Bow, Draining Shot. Scatter Shot Morph. Redesign this morph so now it heals you when Disorient ends. Cool. Poison Arrow. Increases the damage over time from this ability and its force by 12%. Cool. That's, yeah. Fix an issue with this ability and its force. We're not applying the damage over time to targets that blocked or absorb the damage. Scorched Earth, Volley Morph. Rename this morph to Endless Hail. Redesign this morph so now it increases the duration of the arrow volley to 10 seconds, reduces the cost, and deals physical damage instead of flame damage. Nice. Restoration Staff, Steadfast Ward. This ability and its source can no longer shield allies through walls and other line of sight blockers. Thank you. Light Armor. Guys, I'm gonna tell you this. So far, like this patch looks really good on paper. I haven't logged in yet, but it looks really good on paper. Thieves Guild, I remember reading the Thieves Guild patch, and like every other like paragraph, I was like, God damn it, what's going on? What's gonna happen? I'm a lot more optimistic about this patch, just from the paper, just from the words. I haven't really logged in yet, but we'll log in and see. We're almost done with the patch notes. Reduce the duration of this ability. It's morphed to 6 seconds or 20 seconds. In addition, this ability is morphed now absorb all damage instead of just spell damage. Oh shit. The hardest magic morph will continue to return magicka only when spell damage is absorbed as a morph effect. Shit. Damn, dude. Okay, so it's a lot of shields, but now there's 6 seconds, but now harness works against physical. But if you use the other morph, not harness, but if you use like the, you know, dampen magic, you get a pretty big shield out of it. But it's still 6 seconds only, but now it works against physical. Oh god, I don't know. This is a lot of stuff to absorb, you know? But this, like, okay, think about it this way. Harness magicka now is pretty useful for those magicka DKs, Night Blades, Templars. Like, now they have a shield, you know, that works against everything. But no, this is a buff. I know this is a buff, but it's just weird. It's just now you gotta go again. Now you gotta go through harness. I don't know. I don't. Let's just keep reading. It's like too much to process, man. Sometimes you just don't know what the effects are until you actually log in. Heavy armor, bracing. Rename this passive ability to Wrath. Redesign this ability so it now increases your weapon and spell damage by 10 to 20 for 6 seconds after taking damage at ranks 1 and 2. Especially stacking up to 10 times. Damn. Damn, son. That's that's pretty cool. Heavy armor seems to be getting some really good buffs. Constitution, increase the amount of magic and stamina restored from this passive ability whenever you are hit by approximately 275%. Like, I gotta give magicka DK heavy armor a chance now. You know, I just gotta try it out because this looks pretty dang good. Juggernaut, increase the amount of maximum health as passive increase per piece of heavy armor to 1-2% from half to 1%. Rapid Mending. This passive ability no longer increments its bonuses with each piece of heavy armor. It now requires 5 pieces or more of heavy armor to be worn. Increases the healing taken bonus to 48%. This ability now increases the amount of resources your heavy attacks restore by 50%. Shit. Bracing passive. Do you have to have 5 pieces for bracing to work? I'm pretty sure bracing did require 5 pieces. Could be wrong though. I'm not sure. We gotta log in and check, guys. We're almost done with this. I promise you I'm gonna try to zip through this as quickly as possible. Vampire. This ability, Dark Stalker. This ability now only functions when you're in Vampire Stage 4. Drain Essence. This ability and its force now tick 3 times over the channel duration, down from 4, but the damage per tick has been increased and now they now restore 20% of your missing health per tick to compensate. Oh shit, that's really cool. Well, missing health, so it's not as much, but it's not that bad. Mist Form. This ability and its morphs now remove previously applied snares and immobilizations. In addition to make you immune to new ones while active. Oh shit! God damn! Holy moly! Increase the cost of ability and source by 5%. Updated the tooltip for this ability and source to indicate it's always disabled magic critical active. Yo! Oh my god! Just think about this for a second. It's like a magicka shuffle. Now like magicka DK! I gotta make my magicka heavy armor DK. Like, I gotta get heavy armor DK and mist form. Just like fucking, like if I get pressured I can reposition. Yes. This is nice, man. This is nice. You don't understand how frustrating it was to like get into your mist form and then immediately get rooted and snared. Oh god, thank you. Thank you. Poison Mist. Rename this morph to Baleful Mist. In addition to changes made to the base ability, this morph now ticks and deals damage every second instead of every 1.5 seconds, causing it to deal damage one additional time of restoration. This morph now deals magic damage instead of poison damage. Okay, I'm still not going to use this. I'm still going to use the speed one. Thank you, Killer Breeze. Supernatural Recovery. This ability no longer requires a vampire ability to be slotted and now only functions when you're in Vampire Stage 2 or higher. Nice. These are the buffs we've been looking for the vampire. Undeath. Okay, I'm gonna say I truly believe. I don't think Magicka DK is gonna be like the best in 1vx. I'm not saying that, but I truly believe that with some of the changes that have been made to Vampire, to Heavy Armor, because you gotta think about it this way. They didn't buff Magicka DKs per se. They didn't really buff Magicka DKs, right? But Magicka DKs all use one-handed shields. They all use, typically speaking, they usually use Vampire, they usually use Heavy Armor. So by buffing something that the Magicka DKs really crutches on, unintentionally they are buffing the Magic DK class. Now it doesn't mean they're going to be the best, it doesn't mean they have the killing potential they need, but this is all great news to hear. This is all great news. Buffing Vampire and buffing Heavy Armor is great for the Magic DK. Read the Mistform change right? Did I read it wrong? Mistform. This ability and its morphs now remove previously applied snares and immobilizations, in addition to make you immune to any new ones while active. Okay. Increase the cost of this ability and its morphs by approximately 5%. Okay. And then the magic recovery. I read it right. I understand what it is. I didn't read anything wrong. What's up, Great Fox? Thank you for 8 months, man. I didn't read anything wrong. Poison Mist. Rename this morph to Baleful Mist. In addition to changes made to the base ability, this morph now takes and deals damage every 1 second instead of every 1.5 seconds. No magic recovery while active. That's always been the case. It just never showed on the tooltip. Causing to deal damage one additional time over its duration. This morph now deals magic damage instead of poison damage. Alright. I didn't read anything wrong. I read it right. Supernatural Recovery. Yeah, we already read that. You don't have to put... Undeath. This passive ability now only functions when you're in Vampire Stage 3 or higher. Okay. Vampirism. Increase the timer to advance each Vampire Stage to 6 hours from 30 minutes. Increase the timer to advance each Vampire Stage to 6 hours from 30 minutes, but casting any Vampire ability will advance this timer by 30 minutes. Oh, okay. Okay, so hold on. It's 6 hours to 6 hours from 30 minutes, but casting any Vampire ability will advance this timer by 30 minutes. All right, that's actually cool. Because for example, let's say I switch to Vampire. I have to wait till I'm stage 4 to get all these benefits. But if I just log in as a Vampire, I get Vampirism, I put Vampire abilities on my bar, and I start spamming Vampire abilities, I'll get to stage 4 really quickly, and I'll be good to go. That's great. That's great. You don't have to wait. You can go through the stages as quickly as you can. You don't have to wait for it. This change is mainly, I guess, for the role players or whatever, who want to stay as a Vampire stage 1 because they don't want to look ugly. That's cool. I like that change. Vampire stage benefits and penalties are now as follows. Stage 1, 0% flame damage, 0% vampire ability cost reduction, 0% health recovery reduction. Alright, stage 4, 25% flame damage, 21% vampire ability cost, 7% health recovery reduction. Okay. Werewolf, Call of the Pack, redesigned this passive ability so it now reduces the cost of staying in werewolf from 10 to 20% for each transformed werewolf in your group, including yourself, up to maximum 48%. Staying in werewolf, okay. Pack Leader. We designed this morph so it now summons 2 direwolf companions to fight by your side for the duration of your transformation. If killed, the direwolves will return after 16, 14, 12, 10 seconds. Damn. The direwolves are making a comeback, man. Game of Thrones. Nice. That's actually not that bad. This morph sounds a little badass, to be honest with you. It sounds a little badass. Now, what if you're like a sorcerer, right? A magical sorcerer, and you just turn into a wolf, and you got like 2 wolves, you got 2 pets, you got a Daedra spawning. I don't know. You got a whole fucking zoo of pets and animals just fighting with you. Fighters Guild. Banish the Wicked. This passive ability now grants ultimate whenever you kill werewolves, as well as undead and Daedra. Cool. Camouflaged Hunter. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, this morph now also grants the minor berserk buff for 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds after dealing critical damage from crouch. From crouch. Do you have to be hidden, or does it have to be crouched? That's important to me, because if I can just slot it and just start crouching in the middle of the fight, just like hit them 1 time or 2 times while crouch and then uncrouch. I gotta test this one. Circle Protection. This ability and its source now grant the minor endurance buff in addition to the minor protection buff. Dawnbreaker. This ability and its source no longer deal bonus damage to undead and Daedra, and now deals physical damage instead of magic damage. Ooh. I gotta get Meteor on my sword now. That sucks. I have to go grind Mage's Guild to get Meteor for instant DPS. I can't use Dawnbreaker anymore. Well, you could, but you wouldn't. Oh, wait, you know what? For example, so no Dawnbreaker for the magic builds, at least on the CP campaign. On the non-CP campaign, you go CP campaign, this doesn't change much. It doesn't change much. I mean, it sort of does if you're using Nirnhone weapons, which I am. So I get less penetration against this. But it doesn't change that much. But on the CP campaign with all the bonuses, it does change quite a bit. So no Dawnbreaker for the magic builds, at least on the CP campaign. On the non-CP campaign, you can still use Dawnbreaker. It doesn't really affect you that much. Use Soul Strike. But dude, Dawnbreaker is now physical damage. Ah, my Stamina Templar is gonna be a beast, dude. My Stamina Templars have already been getting boosted real big, and now with these other changes, it's nice. I mean, it's gonna be Dawnbreaker Smiting. In addition to the changes made to this base ability, this morph also now knocks down any enemy hit instead of only undead and Daedra. You also reduce the duration of the knockdown 2.5 seconds for 5 seconds. All right. Evil Hunter. In addition to the changes made to the base ability of this morph now also reduces the stamina cost of fighters' guild abilities by 25% while active. Okay, that's not a big deal just because like you don't really use any of those abilities in PvP, but no, you gotta use Meteor. Magic and Templar is gonna have to start using their actual ultimate, whichever that spear thingy. Expert Hunter. Redesign this ability in its morph so they no longer grant a small chance to deal additional bonus damage. Instead, they can be activated to reveal hidden or invisible enemies in a 6-meter radius for 5 seconds, and prevents revealed enemies from returning to stealth for 30 seconds. Oh, this is like a Mage Light? I don't know about that. Like that's already have enough detection things. These abilities will continue to eliminate undead Daedra and werewolves and grant major savagery while slotted. Flawless Dawnbreaker. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, reduce the amount of weapon damage this morph increases while slotted to 2, 3, 4, 5% instead of 8%. You still end up getting a lot more damage out of Flawless Dawnbreaker as a stamina build, because now instead of doing magic damage, it does physical damage. So you can take that 3% loss, because now it's going to be doing 25% more damage if you have 100 points into Mighty. So really this nerf doesn't do much. Like you're still going to hit a lot harder with this ability. Intimidating Presence. This passive ability now also reduces the cost of fighters' guild abilities by 20%. Okay, so that I assume this affects Dawnbreaker. So Dawnbreaker is going to be costing a lot less. It was already pretty cheap, but I assume it's going to cost even less now with this passive. Ring of Preservation. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, we redesigned this morph so now reduces the cost of roll dodge by 20% while within the area of effect. Yo, there's a lot of dodge rolling cost things, like well fitted and now this. But you know, the area of effect for this is actually really small. Like it's very small. So you'd have to be standing inside this thing. Silver bolts. This ability in its force is no longer knock down or deal bonus damage to undead agent. Instead, they now reduce the movement speed of any enemy hit by 40% for 6 seconds. More snares. Silver leash. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, this morph also now pulls the caster to the target when it's activated a second time. Additionally, the caster can pull themselves to any target instead of just undead and danger targets. It's like a gap closer for like people without gap closers, I guess. Silver shards. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, we increase the amount of additional targets this morph can hit to 5 additional targets from 2. Flawless Dawnbreaker on a stand sorcerer with Expert Hunter on the bar would be 48 ultimate. God damn. 48 ultimate to cast Dawnbreaker on a Sork. It's really cool. That's going to be the cheapest ultimate in the game. So for Magic of DK builds, they didn't really buff Magic of DKs, but they buffed Vampire a lot, and they buffed Heavy Armor a lot. So like a Heavy Armor Magic of DK might be really viable now. Slayer redesigned its passive ability so it now increases your weapon damage by 1, 2, 3% for each fighter's ability slotted at ranks 1, 2, and 3 respectively, instead of increasing weapon damage and spell damage by 369%. So 3%, right? They removed 3% from Flawless, but they made it physical, but now they're just giving this right back to us with Slayer passive because Flawless Dawnbreaker will be slotted on your bar, so it's still 8%. Now you have every other ability will give you fire skill stuff. Skill Tracker redesigned its passive ability so it now increases all damage dealt with fighter's skilled abilities by 20%. 20% against undead, danger, and werewolves. Fighter's guild abilities no longer innately have a bonus to undead, danger, and werewolves without this passive ability. Okay. Trap Beast. This ability in this force now apply their damage over time to enemy hit instead of undead and danger. In addition, this ability in its force now deal physical damage instead of magic damage. Cool. Turn Undead. Circle Protection Morph. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, we increase the duration of the area affected 12 seconds from 10 seconds. Alright. Mage's Guild. Balance Equilibrium Morph. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, we also... Okay, let me read the base ability first. They have this messed up. Reduce the health cost for the ability and source by 20%. The amount of magic gain exchange remains unchanged. In addition to the changes made to the base ability, we also redesigned this morph so it no longer grants the Major Fortitude buff for 17 seconds after casting. Instead, it grants the Major Resolve and Major Ward buff for 4 seconds after casting. Alright. Reverberating Bash no longer has a CC, so you don't have to worry about that. It just does a lot more damage now and has another option to it. But Blood Altar. This ability and its morphs no longer grant the Major Fortitude buff to you and allies in its area of effect. Instead, they grant minor lifesteal, a new buff that heals you for 2% of all damage. I don't know, whatever. Blood Altar is still overpowered. Just kidding. Bone Shield. This ability and its morphs now absorb all damage instead of just physical damage. Cool. Now stamina builds have kind of like a shield to use. This ability and its morphs will now scale their damage shield values based on your maximum stamina instead of your maximum health. God damn, son. We got a shield for the stamina builds. We got a shield for the stamina builds, fam. Whoa. Whoa. You guys are gonna start shield stacking as a stamina build. That's actually not that bad. Stam shields, man. Gonna bust out that shield breaker real quick on everybody. Everyone. No one is safe. It does cost a lot though. Like it does cost, but I wonder how big of a shield you can get with like 40k, 30k stamina, you know? Increases synergy activation rate for 4 minutes. Okay. Trapping Webs. Redesign this ability in this morph so they are now ground placed area of effect abilities, which create webs at target location for 5 seconds. So any magical sword who uses this as like instant DPS, rest in peace. Reduce the movement speed of enemies within by 50% when the webs expire. They burst into venom, dealing poison damage to enemies within. This ability and its morphs are now stamina abilities and scale with weapon damage and maximum stamina. The synergy disability and its morphs now deal poison damage. Okay, so yeah, if you're a magical sword using this, you're not using this anymore. Alliance, War, Assault, Magic Detonation. Reduce the damage and disability and its morphs by 45%. Okay, reduce the damage of this ability and its morphs by 45%. They now deal 25% additional damage per target hit, up from 10%, and cap that bonus damage up to a total of 250% more damage done, up from 100% more damage done. The net result should be significantly less damage to one target and slightly less damage to 10 targets. Slightly less damage to 10 targets? You should still, I mean, you're still going to hit pretty hard, but slightly less? It should be slightly more, in my opinion, to 10 targets. If you hit 10 people. But 25%, 45%. Yeah, I see what this is doing. This is a good change. But in total, if you hit like 20 people, you're definitely going to hit. If you hit 11 or more, you're doing more damage. So Vicious Death Nightblades are still going to be able to one-shot groups, you know? And they're also still going to be able to one-shot players. I can one-shot someone without proxy debt. That's the thing. Like, the amount of damage you get on a build like that is so high, you don't need proxy debt. But this is... So if you hit more than 10 people, you're actually getting more damage this patch. Proximity Detonation, Magic Detonation Morph. Fix an issue where the red telegraph circle from this ability was remaining at the last seen spot the enemy player was before they became invisible. It will now also be invisible when the enemy player is invisible. Okay. That's actually a buff to the cloak Nightblades to do this, but... Vigor. Casting Vigor with a staff equipped will no longer make the staff go through your legs. Thank God! Whoa! Thank God, because I mean, it was already terrible enough. If you were using Vigor while you were wielding a staff, like, I already felt bad for you. I didn't want you to look like a complete dumbass with the staff going through your legs. I mean, come on. Thank God they fixed that. I mean, it's already terrible enough. You're using Vigor with a staff. At least don't look like an idiot while doing it. Emperor. Okay, they fixed an issue. Support. Guard. Redesign its ability and its morph so they no longer intercept projectiles around you. Instead, they are now single target abilities that can be cast on an ally to tether them. While tethered, 30% of damage they take is redistributed to you. Ooh, that's actually cool. How long is the tether? How far away can they go? Your stamina recovery is disabled while tethered to the ally, but the tether can be broken by recasting the spell or moving more than 50 meters away from them. This is actually pretty badass. Like for like a super tank. Like, say you're a super tank, you tether to like one of your glass cannon, you know, guys, and you're just like tanking damage for them. You can tank up to 2 people. What if you like magma armor and tether 2 people, and then now you're just like you're sapping so much, you know? This might be useful. This might be useful. It's gonna be a little bit like it's gonna require a little bit of thinking and planning and stuff, but it might be useful. Mystic Guard morph. This morph will now grant you and the tethered ally the minor vitality buff. What does vitality do? Can you guys tell me in the chat? Stalwart Guard. This morph will now grant you and the tethered ally the minor force buff. I don't know what these buffs do, I forgot. Vitality and force. Champion system. Thaumaturge. Fix an issue where this champion ability is increasing damage of various non-damage overtime effects such as Danger Curse or Magic Detonation. And I assume Wrecking Blow as well. Known issue. Currently Thaumaturge is still increasing tooltip value of these abilities. This will be fixing the future PTS patch. Healing received. Health. Okay, percent healing. Okay. One person can tether up to 2 people. Now, what if 3 tanks all tether each other? Hold up. What if 3 tanks tether each other? Like, I'm one tank, I tether Richard and Fengrush. Fengrush tethers Richard and me, and it's like a 3-way tether. What happens then? Like, almost... Wait, it's hurting my head thinking about this. It's like the damage will be split almost evenly across everyone. Whoever gets hit just just gets. I don't know how. I don't know. Tank section. What if we instantly die because the server doesn't calculate it properly? Don't you fucking get me killed on your tethers. Monsters, cool, crafting. I think we are done here. I mean, everything else is like just UI things. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching that review of the PTS patch notes for the Dark Brotherhood. We're about to log in to the PTS right now and review the item sets and a few of the changes and test things out. And that will